Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties, Working with Schools to Prevent Obesity. I'm Michelle Smith. I'm the Director for the Southern Obesity Prevention Strategy and the Southern Obesity Summit. This is one in a series of webinars we'll be hosting along with events that will focus on obesity prevention and how we can work together across organizations and across states. We'll be focusing on 7 pillars that were developed over the past 6 years during our Southern Obesity Prevention Summits. To find out more about SOS, you can go to www.southernobesitysummit.org. I'm excited to let you know that this year we will be going to Nashville in November. The dates will be released probably later this week, so start making your plans to join us in Nashville. Today we're excited to have 2 of our prestigious Southern mayors to share some of their successes working with schools. And we're also excited to have Leon Andrews, Senior Fellow for the National League of Cities, and sorry, I just didn't even have my slides up. National League of Cities and key leader for Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. So before we get to our presentation, there's just a few logistics. All phones are muted to reduce the noise and feedback, but we do want you to be able to ask questions. So if you'll notice, there's a control panel on your screen, and you can type your questions in there. We'll be monitoring, and we'll ask our presenters to answer those questions after their presentations. The webinar is being recorded, so we will post a link to our website along with presentation materials, so you don't have to take extensive notes. We can also provide contact information for the mayor's offices if you have follow-up questions that we don't get answered. So now I'm going to switch the screen over to Leon, and he's going to share information for our mayors. Leon, you're not showing up.
I'm not showing up.
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, I love technology, the wonders of technology. Okay, there you go.
Can you see me? Okay.
Not yet.
All right, so something here, show my screen. Can you see me now?
Yeah, you should have.
Good. So thank you, Michelle, and good morning or good afternoon to everyone. As Michelle said, my name is Leon Andrews. I'm a Senior Fellow at the National League of Cities here in Washington, D.C., and we are thrilled to be a part of this webinar with the Southern Obesity Prevention Strategy and to be working with Michelle in co-hosting this. And we're excited to be able to share with you some work around the Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties initiative for those that have been aware of the work happening on this initiative through the First Lady and the work that we've been doing here at the National League of Cities. Just wanted to check really quickly before I start clicking through on slides. Michelle, are you able to see my screen as I'm clicking here?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So as you see on your screens, the Let's Move initiative was launched in February of 2010. And there are a number of different sub-initiatives under Let's Move. There's a Chef's Move to School, a Let's Move Child Care, Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties, which I'll be talking a little bit about, and really the focus of our call today. Let's Move Faith in Communities, Let's Move in Indian Country, Let's Move Museums and Gardens, Let's Move Outside, Let's Move Salad Bars to School. And the work, since it's been launched in 2010, has really, particularly Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. And I should correct myself. I said Let's Move was launched in 2010. Actually, Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties was launched in 2010, and Let's Move itself was launched a year before that in February of 2009. But since Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties was launched, it started with kind of a work that was done by a collective task force looking at, as you can see there, looking at strategies for solving the problem of childhood obesity, particularly what role elected officials can play. And it's now gone through kind of an enhancement where with all of the cities that have committed originally, there's been work that now really focused on really what can cities do to engage around Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. There's a new website, www.healthycommunitieshealthyfuture.org, and the National League of Cities is now serving as the lead partner, working very closely with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to focus on core goals that can drive the Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties initiative. Since the next phase of this Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties initiative, there are over 180 cities, towns, and counties across the country that have committed to the 5 goals of Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. And you can see here, this map, which is also on the website, gives you a sense of where those cities are. As you can see, there are a number of cities in the South, and we're really grateful. Hopefully, those that are on the call, many of your cities might be represented, but if not, want to talk about what more we can do to engage your cities more as part of this initiative. The 5 goals are laid out right here. Goal 1 is around start early, start smart. Goal 2, my plate, your place. Goal 3, smart servings for students. Goal 4, model food service. And goal 5, active kids at play. And I'm not going to not able to obviously use this time to walk through all of the details of each of the goals, but wanted to use this slide to give you an example of how each of the goals lay out some clear specifics around what cities and towns and counties can do to achieve each of the goals. And so in goal 5, around active kids at play, which is focused on increasing physical activity, local elected officials are committing to mapping local play spaces, completing a needs assessment, developing an action plan, and launching a minimum of 3 proven practices, policies, programs, initiatives aimed at increasing access to play. And one of the components of the work that we're doing as we're working with cities is really creating an opportunity to show progress that cities are making as they're completing the goals and to celebrate it. And so in the spirit of the Olympics, I know we're a little bit removed from the Summer Olympics and going into the Winter Olympics in 2014. The medaling system, the bronze, silver, gold, is a way of really celebrating that. And so for this goal, as cities are completing their play spaces and mapping their play spaces, that is a bronze medal, right? And silver is both mapping it and then also doing a needs assessment and an action plan. And then gold is doing all of that and then implementing at least three proven programs like a complete streets policy or joint use agreement or safe routes to school. And so there are a number of different ways of thinking about the proven policies, programs, initiatives to look at. And so the opportunity here really is for cities to earn 5 gold medals, right? Because there are 5 different goals. And we've created a survey through the website where cities can track their progress. The survey allows us to be able to identify where cities are, benchmark it, and really work with them to support them to achieve those goals. And as cities are achieving the goals, they receive a certificate to display in City Hall or wherever they choose. We provide news release templates. There's a Twitter, although I'm not a great Twitter person, but we have a lot of people out there tweeting, and so we are tweeting and sharing what cities are doing and accomplishing their accomplishments, as well as posting it on the website. And so we've started to really celebrate that work as we've been going into this phase of the work. And we had at our annual conference in Boston, NLC's Congress of Cities, we did an initial medal announcement. We awarded over 548 medals. Picture there of the Assistant Secretary, Dr. Howard Koh, and our immediate past president, Ted Ellis, and one of the cities that were receiving their medal and certificate. And we recognized over 12 local elected officials who've had the highest medal achievements in each of the goals. And we're looking to do that every month. We did that in terms of announcing the medals And so we did another announcement in January, and this month is the anniversary of Let's Move, and we're doing a number of things to try to celebrate what cities, towns, and counties are doing around the country. And so recognition is, again, through the website, healthycommunitieshealthyfuture.org. Local elected officials are committing to the five goals on the website, are recognized on the website through the main page. This is the main page of the website. If you go there, you'll see in the bottom right corner of the website those mayors that have committed to completing the 5 goals. That bottom right area kind of is a carousel, so it rotates the elected officials that are committing. And then we have that interactive map, which I showed earlier, and if you click on any of those dots, you'll see the elected official and the cities and the mayor or city council member that's leading on the issue. But when you click on that link, it goes to the community profile page, where we're looking and encouraging cities to complete their community profile page, where you can learn specifically about what each of the cities are doing in each of the goal areas. And so you can clearly tell since 2010, particularly in the last year, we really have are focused on building more capacity and infrastructure to celebrate all the great work that elected officials are doing around the country. And there are a number of other great features on the website, so we're encouraging you to check out the website. There's an activity page to kind of get a sense of all the elected officials that have committed, kind of a medal standing page where you can kind of, in the spirit again of the Olympics, in terms of who's kind of medaling well, creating a healthy competition, which our mayors here will tell you that's always a nice incentive as well. And so we can spend a lot of time sharing more about the features of the website, but we encourage you to visit healthycommunitieshealthyfuture.org. And if you want to be a part of Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties, when you go to the page, you just need to click on that bottom left where to begin signing up and start completing your information. If you're not an elected official, you can use the website to see if your city, town, or county is signed up, and if it's not, you can ask your local elected officials, encourage them to sign up, and if they are signed up, you can contact your elected official through the website and offer assistance in supporting them around the 5 goals. And so NLC, what we can do to help local elected officials, we're using the survey to identify where you are and where the gaps are. NLC can identify technical resources and highlight grant opportunities related to the initiative. We can connect you to subject matter experts and partners to help you complete those goals and recognize the great work. Again, because this is the First Lady's initiative, we're working very closely with her to celebrate all the great work happening around the country in cities, towns, and counties. Wanted to provide you contact information if you wanted to follow up specifically with any of my colleagues. Elena Hoffnagel and Tracy Wheat are 2 great people to follow up with. And also, if you're really interested in staying engaged, we do have an upcoming webinar that kind of continues to explain more of the work that we're doing, looking specifically at Goal 3, and that's at the end of the month, Wednesday, February 27th, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can go to the website to register for that webinar. So that gives you an overview. And I'm going to pass it back over to Michelle. So I'm off of my screen, Michelle, if you can do that, because I'm really excited to share to introduce our first. We have 2 mayors and 2 school leaders as well with these mayors from Jackson, Tennessee, and Tupelo, Mississippi. I want to introduce the first Jackson team, Mayor Jerry Gist and Annette Wilson. The city of Jackson was one of 6 cities that were selected in 2007 through the National League of Cities initiative for city schools working together to complete comprehensive wellness policies. And Mayor Gist was a champion, has become an incredible champion on city-school partnerships and community-wide partnerships to promote healthy communities. And so we've been fortunate to work very closely with the city of Jackson, as well as with the Jackson-Madison County School District, and with Annette Wilson, who is the coordinated school health administrator for the Jackson-Madison County School District. And so we're grateful that they are here to share about all the wonderful work that they are doing to partner cities and schools partnering around core elements of work that are aligned with our Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties initiative. So I'll turn it over to Mayor Gist to share more about that work. Mayor Gist?
Thank you, Leon. And you mentioned Annette, and she is here. She'll be handling some of the commentary here for me. We also have Sandy McDermott, who is our Superintendent of Recreation for a city. Both these girls have been on the ground from day one, and really this has been a work in progress ever since 2006. Really, it started when I came over as mayor to the city. We have a self-funded medical plan. I saw the budget of $8 million for about 625 employees and their dependents, and of course that was continuing to escalate each year, simply not sustainable. So we started looking at a wellness program for just our employees. That's where it started, and started paying half the membership in our wellness clubs here locally, and really taking it beyond that. So this has truly been a work in progress since 2006, and I appreciate both these girls. All good mayors don't have very much, but they do have people, and we happen to have people here in the city of Jackson who are extremely knowledgeable and can pull groups together for a good, productive, collaborative effort. After looking at our total cost for medical in the city, we've been able to drop that about $2 million over the last several years. So that's one good aspect of it. But just looking at Tennessee as a whole, we don't stand very high in our health statistics. Over 2/3 of adults, 68% in Tennessee, are overweight and are obese. 39% of our children aged 10 to 17 are overweight or obese, with over 50% in some counties. We're bound to enjoy this good West Tennessee barbecue probably more than we should. Almost 1 in 3 deaths in Tennessee related to diabetes, heart, vascular disease. Obesity ranking through the U.S., we're second in the U.S., and we're ranked 5 in the laziest state. So that itself was really motivation for us to begin something in our community which would provide, obviously, some counterpoints for citizens to improve their wellness. One of Jackson's commitments is dedicated facilities and resources to improve the health, wellness, and quality of life of its citizens. To achieve the city's goal of providing its citizens with easy access to a healthy and well lifestyle, we're obligated to address the issue of obesity in our city of Jackson, Tennessee. And as we continue through the slides.
Michelle, could you advance 2 slides, please?
2? Is that where you need?
Oh, here we are.
This one?
Next one.
Okay.
One more.
Okay.
Okay, good deal. Initially, we had to have some policy changes within our city, and not only our city, but really from many of our agencies. But you're talking about 2 local governments, our city government and, of course, the county government. The first thing we did was have city council mandated a task force to address obesity and community wellness in our city. And along with Leon and the National League of Cities, we received a Robert Wood Johnson grant and created Jumpstart Jackson initiative. And that, I think, started in 2007. Has been very, very active since that time. It's still alive and well. And as a matter of fact, we have an event coming up this year, I think in April, and Annette may be able to give you that specific day. And also designed a community action plan to create a healthier community. We drafted and adopted a Jackson-Madison County School Wellness policy. In 2006, we created the task force. 2007, we began the technical assistance program with the National League of Cities and the American Association of School Administrators. And that's when Jumpstart Jackson really was birthed. culminating with the drafting and adoption of a community-wide wellness policy. It's adopted jointly by the city and the county and the school system. So we have two local governments involved in that, along with a policy approval through the school board. Once we have the policy in place, we're able to move forward into some additional action. You want to advance one slide?
This is right.
Okay, the partnership of the city and the school system for community wellness and reducing childhood obesity. Just the background of Jumpstart Jackson, and this is a term which is widely known in our city. People know immediately what you're talking about when you talk about Jumpstart Jackson. It means wellness, it means physical activity, it means good nutrition. The health and wellness for children in our city and our community as a whole is not the sole responsibility of just the city government, just as it takes a whole village to raise a child. It's the responsibility of the entire community working together to raise healthy children and create a healthy community. And for this to be successful, you have to first build a committed partnership base and a good, strong collaboration among several different agencies. Some of the partners were brought in with the city. There's a city planning department, a Parks and Recreation department, our local Jackson-Madison County Health Department, along with our mammoth healthcare system that we have here in Jackson. It's the West Tennessee Healthcare Network, a huge conglomerate of hospitals and healthcare here in Jackson, employing roughly about 5,000 people. Also children's services agencies and the business community, and we work those through the Chamber of Commerce, and they're still working on their initiative through the Chamber and through businesses here in Jackson. Using the Let's Move cities, towns, and counties, the 5 primary goals of the Blueprint for Action, we focused first on Goal 5, and that was to ensure that everyone in our community had a safe, easy access to physical activity options. We had increased awareness of benefits of physical activity, not only during school, but after school, and some of the after-school programs. Provide more physical activity options for kids and families during the after-school and out-of-school time. A joint use, this is critical, joint use of city and school facilities to provide simply more physical activity opportunities for our young people, and then increase physical activity options during the in-school hours. So all of that led us to begin the process of just providing more activities, more physical activities for our young people in our city and those that are in our school system. The city departments of planning and parks and recreation were obviously key partners in the city providing healthy living opportunities. Here in Jackson, we're continuing to build, and we have about 25 parks and recreation centers, skate park, nature parks, walking trails, fitness stations, and parks. And we just received a grant for about a mile walking trail in our downtown area with the fitness stations along that 1 mile walking trail. So we're really looking forward to getting that underway. 13 soccer fields, 17 field baseball, softball complex. So obviously, if we're after additional physical activity for our young people, there has to be adequate facilities for that. We've hopefully increased the walkability of our schools, from homes to schools, and then return. If we can go to another slide, under the brand of Jumpstart Jackson, we began a marketing campaign to increase public awareness of the benefits of an active, healthy lifestyle through community wellness walks with the mayor. And that has been very, very productive. Our first, and almost every event we've had in Jumpstart Jackson, there's been literally thousands of people involved in those walks, as you will see perhaps maybe from some of the slides. I think the first one, we estimate about 2,000 people walking, beginning at a Fairgrounds Park and walking through downtown Jackson. Working jointly with the Parks and Recreation Department, schools, that we develop more physical activity options for kids during the time they're in school, and especially the times that they're out of school. And at this point, let me go to Annette and let her pick up the remainder of it.
At this slide, of course, you can see some of the activities that are going on not only in the Parks and Rec facilities, but also a program with another one of our partners. It's an after-school fitness program where we have fitness trainers that come in and work with the students in the after-school program, and that's been a very successful program, and we hope to continue to grow that. That just strengthened our collaboration with others in the community. Next slide, please. And this talks a little bit about one of the goals of the in-school fitness. In the state of Tennessee, coordinated school health is implemented in every single school district, and this has led to sustainable improvements in the health and academics of our students. So we're very proud of all the efforts in Tennessee, but especially in Jackson, because we do have the partnership with many, many community agencies that help us. We have started implementing a lot of fitness centers on site. That has really increased physical activity opportunities, not only for the students, but for the faculty and staff. And some of those fitness centers are open for the families of those students that attend that school. We have walking trails that we've implemented at several of our schools. And some of those we are in a joint use with the city, and they are actually owned by the city, but our schools have access to those. And those are also open to the community. So it increases the availability of walking before school and after school and even on the weekends. We also in the schools realize the importance of PE and a quality PE program. So we have implemented the SPARK curriculum throughout the entire district. So every school is using that to increase the moderate to vigorous exercise that the students have. We also have partnered with the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. They have many resources that have been very instrumental in helping get our students up and moving. We also use the Take 10 curriculum in many of the elementary schools. That's another opportunity to just incorporate physical activity into academics. And one thing Mayor Gist alluded to, and I just want to touch on briefly, one thing we're very proud of, we had one high school that did not have a gymnasium. Therefore, the students were taking PE in their classroom. The city owns an arena, Oman Arena, right next door to the school, and now through a joint use, the students are allowed to go and take their physical education classes inside that Oman Arena, and so we're very thankful for the city for working with us on that project. The students, I can tell you, are very happy to have a place to take PE outside of a classroom. Next slide, please. And this talks a little bit about My Plate, Your Place, the food policy. We have definitely made great strides in that area. We have healthy vending in every single vending machine system-wide. And we implemented this, basically, we started with the central office and made those changes there. And now it is throughout the entire district, even in the staff vending. Everything follows the state-mandated guidelines or the Alliance for a Healthier Generation and the American Beverage Association's guidelines. So all the sugary beverages are gone from our campuses. All the snacks meet a very strict guideline as far as the sugar and sodium and fat content. We do encourage the healthier snacks and the party options. That's in our student wellness policies. I can't say enough about the healthy food choices in the cafeterias. We invite people to come out quite often. As a matter of fact, Mayor Gist visits our schools frequently and eats lunch with the students. They definitely have made great strides there with making the healthier options, and the students are enjoying the food. That's the most important thing, is that you can offer it, but they need to be eating the food, and they are. We do a lot of nutrition education. We use the Michigan Model for Health for one of the curriculums for comprehensive health education, but they take a lot of the nutrition components out of that to use, and that is throughout the district. And also, we have 9 schools that have received the USDA Fresh Fruit and Veggie Grants. And along with that, there's a great increasing the consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables, and there's an education component that accompanies that. So students are not only tasting new foods, healthy foods, but they're learning about those foods as well. Next slide, please. This just basically goes on to talk a little bit more about the smart servings for students. One of the success stories about Jackson-Madison County Schools is the Breakfast in the Classroom program, which has been implemented for many, many years, but now we have advanced it over into the high school setting. So we now are in almost all of the schools. By this time next year, every school will have breakfast in the classroom, and I can tell you that what we have noticed, significant changes in behavior, significant changes in the visits to the school nurse. Many times the students visit the nurse and they were just hungry. So we're very excited. That has increased our participation in breakfast from 33% to 76% of students eating breakfast. We serve a little over 9,500 breakfast meals every day. The Farm to Trade program, Liberty High School has an award-winning program that provides produce to 5 of our schools every day, and up to 9 schools on some weeks depending on the growing season. And the food service and food systems, like I mentioned, the Farm to Trade Fresh Produce program has been an award-winning program through Liberty High School. And we have a wonderful farmers market, and I would like Mayor Gist to even make mention of our farmers market.
Yeah, it has been in existence about 10 years. It's expanding, and I think it has gone from about 30 vendors per day now up to about 150 vendors per day. And it brings people downtown. They come in, buy the fresh vegetables. We have one side for locally grown, and then another side of it for produce and fruits that are grown outside the local area. So it's been a tremendous benefit to us.
Next slide, please.
This is obviously when we started this back in 2006, we had no idea that it would evolve into where it is today. And you all, I think, will have a slide of something called LIFT. That's Living Fit in Tennessee. It's part of Jackson Walk. Right down the middle of downtown Jackson, a $50 million, I repeat, $50 million development downtown. And I'd like to think that from our initiative in 2006 and maintaining it year after year, that many of our businesses, many of our local developers saw the interest of that in our community, and thusly started putting money into development downtown. Again, it's $50 million, a Lift Wellness Center, which includes, I think, 3 indoor pools, walking track, basketball court, all types of exercise equipment. And we have made that facility available to every city employee at no cost. We are paying their membership for the Wellness Center, and I think that the numbers nationwide indicate that if you put $1 into a wellness initiative, then you're going to see a return of $3. So it just makes sense financially, not only taking care of our employees and trying to keep them healthy, but initially their goal was 1,000 members into our wellness center, into the Lift. And I think as of yesterday, they already had 1,500 and still growing. So it's a major part of our downtown. We have, in addition to that, 150 apartments being built adjacent to it. And I think once those apartments are leased, part of that lease includes membership into the Lift, and which is a tremendous asset to those people who want to live downtown. Of course, the farmers market is right adjacent to it and available for those people living in the apartments, living in the new homes around the Lift to to use and enjoy. So we're looking forward to continuing our efforts, and again, y'all welcome aboard, and we hope that what we shared will be beneficial to you.
Michelle, there's 2 slides showing the Jackson Walk Healthy Community Complex, and then also the Lift Center.
Awesome. That's really exciting, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Gist and Annette and Sandy for walking us through all the great work that's happening in Jackson. And as I was saying before we joined, I mean, it's been great just since 2006, Mayor, just through your leadership and the school to see what strong partnerships between cities and schools can do when working together. And so we'll save some time here to ask questions, I think, at the end of presentations. But I'd like to introduce the Tupelo team, Mayor Jack and Anna Freeman Wyatt, who's the communications director in the city of Tupelo, and Marianne Palencia, who's with the Tupelo Public School District, is the community liaison and grants coordinator. The city of Tupelo was one of 5 cities that were competitively selected for the National League of Cities Healthy Southern City Initiative in 2010. And so Tupelo was part of 5 cities in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, where the National League of Cities focused over 2 years working in kind of a targeted way to drive a comprehensive agenda with cities focused on policy implementation to increase recreational opportunities and access to fresh and healthy foods. Mayor Jack Reed has been a strong leader in leading this work and working very closely with the schools, and so we're very excited to have him share with the Tupelo team all the great work that they're doing. Mayor Reed.
Thank you, Leon, and hello, everyone from the birthplace of Elvis, Tupelo, Mississippi. Mayor Guest, I'm really inspired by what Jackson continues to do, and thank you for that. I've been taking notes myself on what y'all are doing. What I want to do quickly is just give everybody a little bit of demographics on Tupelo, and then we're going to show a video, and then we'll go into some slides. Tupelo is about 37,000 citizens here in northeast Mississippi. Our public school district has about 7,500 students, about 43% Caucasian, 50% African American, 7% other minorities and others. We've got about 62% of our students are on the free and reduced lunch. Our Tupelo Parks and Recreation Department is also our city tool to use as far as the city efforts are concerned, along with a citizen volunteer task force called our Mayor's Healthiest City Task Force, which is a very passionate group of volunteers, unpaid, but have just done tremendous work, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But we were honored last year to be declared the healthiest city in Mississippi by Blue Cross Blue Shield competitive competition, and there's nothing wrong with competition. In fact, I didn't realize you were putting up all the medals on your website, and I told Anna, I said, Anna, we got to get some more gold medals. We don't have enough. So I respond to competition, and I appreciate that effort. Right now, I guess, if you don't mind, let's show the video that we use to apply for our Healthiest City in Mississippi Award. Okay, well, that gives you an overview. What we now want to do is get to some specifics, because I do know we've got a lot of people online. We want to be open for questions. So we'll start with our slideshow. And the first slide should be about our Safe Splash effort.
It should be up.
Okay. Next slide then, I guess. There we go. I'm going to join with me, as I said, is Marianne Placencia, who is our Tupelo Public School District Community Liaison and Grants Coordinator. And so she and I will just zip back and forth to quickly go over some of these programs that I think perhaps could be modeled in other cities. Marianne?
So about 3 years ago, the school district partnered with our Parks and Rec department to offer swimming to every second grader in the school district. The first year, I think our participation was about 90%. Last year, our participation was about 98%. We have about 550 second graders who participated, and it's a program we're really excited about. We bus the children to our city pool, and when they arrive there are water safety instructors, and our teachers also get in the water, and they offer next slide please, I'm sorry, 5 50-minute sessions to our second graders. The one thing that we're doing, and there's one more slide, I believe. Yeah, that's a great slide with the certificates at the end of the 5 sessions. The one thing that we have added to enhance the program this year is that we're looping in our first graders. So, and when they get to be in second grade, then they'll get a second week of swimming. So 1 week in the spring for first graders who are then rising second graders, and they'll get another week in the fall. And our goal is to just make them safe in and around the water, and it's something that we're deeply, deeply proud of in our city.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide. I'll just make one comment on the Safe Splash. I've gotten so many comments from parents of children who their family are not necessarily swimmers, and just on the safety aspect, regardless of the learning a lifetime sport, that seems to have been very meaningful. So I'm proud of that. I think all the cities that are featured to have some sort of walk. This is our version of the Mayor's Marathon. We've had all 2,000 pre-K to 5th graders do it the last 3 years. And basically, it's 26.2 miles in a month, basically a mile a day. This is one. The first one we had our parents as well. Next slide. Next, please. This is obviously some of us. That's myself and the husband of one of our city council women. You can see we didn't exactly coordinate on that high five too well, but anyway, we're having a good time. And then I guess next slide, please. I guess I'll take this one. 3-foot law. We mentioned this in the video. Tupelo is proud to be the first city in Mississippi to establish a 3-foot law to give bicyclists a 3-foot. Again, just safety as well as that. You can't tell people to get out and exercise and then not have sidewalks or bike lanes or safety to do it. Unfortunately, the impetus for this was a young high school rising senior who was killed out in the county, not in the city, but his family and the community's response to that helped start this. So we're proud of that. Next slide. They're just some of the adults excited about that. Next slide, please, and there we go. And then next slide.
About 2 years ago, at 3 of our 3rd through 5th grade schools, we introduced Project Fit through the help of Blue Cross Blue Shield. We applied for grants that allowed us to put additional playground equipment, fitness equipment at 3 of our schools. That also came with curriculum that went with it. It's been a huge success at all of our schools. It's integrated into the PE program, and the kids use it during recess just about every day.
Next slide, please. And there's some in the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some more kids. And the next slide. All right, HealthWorks. This is a $6.7 million community project that we're proud of. It was based on a place in Indiana, but this is only the second one in the country, and it really talks about changing behaviors and lifestyles. And they've had over 100,000 visitors in the first 4 years. Many of them school field trips from schools all around the state. It's a great program. It says instead of saying, let's see, next slide. Instead of saying, for example, you're overweight and this is why, it'll give children a game to play, and it'll have choices for breakfast. And one might be a honey bun, and one might be eggs or coffee cake, and one might be fruit. And depending on what you choose, it shows you how many times you have to walk around the track to work off what you chose. So behavioral opportunities, that's good. There's a young lady enjoying herself. That's good. She's excited to be out of school and at HealthWorks, I guess. A lot of passion by the volunteers that work there. Next is Health on a Shelf. And I guess, Marianne, you and I both talked about this. This is the program, Leon, that we were invited to Phoenix last year to model at the national meeting. And some of you have children or grandchildren may be familiar with Elf on a Shelf. This was just a creative idea of one of our volunteers on the task force to direct itself at a serious problem, which people call food deserts, or places where there are only convenience stores and no grocery stores, so there are no options for healthy eating a lot of time. And this offers, we've got now 10 different convenience stores in the city. We continue to try to add them every time we can. It just gives us a certain part of the convenience store. You could, next slide, please. Next, please. There we go. And then the next slide. And that's just a, whoops, well, anyway, back to the Health on a Shelf. And we've got a package on that that's very inexpensive that we can give cities, and we've had other cities requested how to get that program started. But it just has X number of calories involved in these choices, and some convenience stores have the fresh sandwiches made every day and salads, some don't. They kind of customize it. But it's just an idea to give people all over town that only have a chance to shop at convenience stores some healthy choices. Marianne, you want to say something?
And the Healthy Task Force is also looking at, as part of this kit, of like some of display equipment that we can incorporate into allowing other cities to use as well.
Absolutely. So we're trying to make that available to as many cities as are interested in it. Next, please. Thank you. We're proud of our farmers market too. Honestly, it pales in comparison to what Jack was talking about. We actually don't have, and I'm interested in thinking about this, we don't have a section for products not grown locally. Ours is 100% locally grown, so it's not as large. That was a decision we made. We may need to rethink that. But anyway, we also have a children's farmers market, which we are trying to, since this is mostly about childhood obesity, I thought I'd mention that. Next slide, please. And that's an opportunity where children have a chance to grow and sell things at the farmers market themselves. To be honest about it, most of them didn't grow enough to make any money, but several of them did make enough to feed their own families several meals, which was important. Next slide. Community gardens go with that. I know lots of cities have community gardens. Again, just another way for a city, even one as relatively rural as Tupelo, Mississippi, to have people enjoy gardening as a community. Next slide, please. We talk about these are educational things for children as far as healthy choices. Next slide, please. Again, next. That's starting the garden off. And next. All right. You want to take this?
We have a chef on the Healthy Task Force. His name is David Leathers, and he has gone to many of our schools in the last probably 2 to 3 years and done food demonstrations and introduced our kids to food that they would not normally be accustomed to seeing or eating. He's kind of a world-renowned fruit carver. I guess that's what he's known for. but he also has a deep passion for introducing healthy living and healthy eating to our kids.
Next slide. And that just shows David a close-up. The last slide we've got is just, again, what some of the money we won from our $50,000 prize from Blue Cross. We're putting into billboards to help just get our message out across the community. This one is obviously to get moving. And next slide. And that's our last slide. And that, of course, is, again, the safety aspect. We've given out hundreds of bicycle helmets free to children, both in the schools and in the policemen have them in their cars. And if they see a child riding around without one, they pull over and give them a helmet and tell them they'd like to see them wear that. Next slide, I guess, will be our seal. I'll go back to the seal. We don't have slides for this, but the last two practical things I'd like to mention, and Mayor Guest mentioned joint use agreements too, but thank you. We've really spent a lot of effort on trying to maximize the citizens' tax dollars with joint use agreements this year, and we opened 8 of our elementary school playgrounds that had been locked after school to the public after school till dark, and then on Saturdays and Sundays, which was basically just like building 8 new pocket parks around Tupelo. We also, of course, share ball fields and the pools and the cross-country trails and the tennis courts, and just try to take advantage of the maximum use of our parks and tie them into the schools and give them the opportunities for that. We have built something, or we're in the process of building a $12 million aquatic center, which will be both for our citizens and for competition, and that'll be a wonderful new asset that should last us for the next 40 years, I think. And the last thing I'd mention is just our safe routes to schools, which again, I know lots of cities are working on those, but I was able to convince our city council that we are going to compete every year for those, and we in fact did win one last year, about a $350,000 grant to build sidewalks within a mile of schools. But we've committed that every year, whether we win one or not, we will build another $350,000 worth of sidewalks to schools, so that in 8 or 9 years, depending on whether we win grants or not, we will have sidewalks to all the schools. And of course, that, even though schools, everybody's in the classroom by 10 o'clock, you've now got a safe place for a 30-year-old mother and her baby to stroll, which we didn't have before. So, as I said, there are lots of cities that are doing great things. We're just one of them. I take more notes than I give at these things, but we'd love to answer any questions, Leon, and that's our presentation.
Great. Thank you, Tupelo. Thank you, Mayor Reed and Anna, and as well as Mary Ann. Just incredible just to see the great work that's happening in both cities, and I know folks listening in probably have lots of questions. Michelle, let me ask, I did have one question before I wanted to open it up. I wanted to ask the group, but did you want to share any specific guidance for people in terms of how they can ask questions? Can they ask questions both through the phone as well as online?
We have too many people to open the phone lines, so they will need to type them in. There's a place that says questions on your little control panel that you can just type in your questions, and we'll be happy to ask them and get our experts to give you their insight. They did have a couple of questions, Leon, for you particularly. How do cities fund their Let's Move programs?
How do they fund
or maybe it is for the mayors. This was sent in while you were talking, so.
No problem. Well, I think the best way I can answer it, a number, if you go to the website, healthycommunitieshealthyfuture.org, you'll notice that each of the goals that have been set up there are not necessarily driven by funding mechanisms, but the goals were set up primarily because they were things that we thought were achievable, things that were measurable, and there were opportunities to leverage existing resources at the federal state and local levels. So so I would encourage the person or those that are listening to visit the website, see if there are any specific questions you have about how to advance any one of particular goals, and we'll be happy to support your efforts in trying to move forward in completing those goals.
And is there any funding that's part of the award program, or is that purely a recognition program?
It is recognition, and as Mayor Reed was saying, it's also a nice, healthy competition as well among cities. And that's a really good for both the city of Jackson and Tupelo, and particularly for Mayor Reed and Mayor Gist. One of the questions we hear a lot in the work that cities that are trying to complete goals related to Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties, and reflected in your presentation, is really the partnerships between cities and schools. And one of the goals is around encouraging cities to work with their schools to support and increase participation in the breakfast program and the lunch program. And Annette did a wonderful job describing the great work happening in Jackson. And so I'm just curious if you could speak to the larger issue around partnering with schools, and some cities struggle with how to do that, and how have you been able to effectively partner, as you've been able to share all the great work that you guys are doing in Jackson and Tupelo with the school district, with the superintendent? Any key nuggets of advice and guidance and thoughts you have for other cities that are looking to partner with their schools?
Well, Leon, one bit of advice that I can share with those that are on board is you're going to have to start at the top and work down. Unless you have the commitment of your local leaders, your mayor, your city council, your county commissioners, your school director, your school superintendent, your school board, then you're going to be moving a lot slower. But once you do have that commitment, they get out front, they do the selling, they have the marketing, and they're also physically a part of what's going on. We, superintendent and I, lead our Jumpstart Jackson Walk. We're leading it, and behind us are probably 2,000 people and 1,000 dogs. All walking a couple of miles, and so you're going to have to start from the top down. And once that commitment is achieved at the top level, then it makes your work a lot easier.
Okay, I have several questions here for the mayors. Can the locally grown produce be incorporated into meals sold into school cafeterias? Have y'all addressed that issue yet?
Michelle, could you pull up our slide show from Jackson? Go back to it.
Not easily.
Okay, alrighty, thank you. We had a slide there that addressed that question.
Okay.
Annette can answer that.
Yes,
then,
we are using locally grown foods through in our cafeterias, and actually, as I mentioned in the presentation, Liberty High School's horticulture department, they grow produce for each week for 5 of our schools, and during a better growing season, they provide vegetables for 9 of our schools. But not only that, I mean, that's been a huge success, not only getting the students involved with growing the produce and marketing it, and helping to actually go out to the schools and educate the students on the produce that was grown, but we also use local vendors through a company here where we buy as much local produce as we possibly can.
We will have those slides available so that you can go look for that specific slide if you didn't get your question answered completely. This question is about the farmers markets. What did it take to get farmers markets approved for SNAP? Was that a local initiative, or is that a state thing?
That was a local initiative, but also working with the State Department of Agriculture. We're here in Jackson. We just got grant funding that will bring the EBT and SNAP sales into our farmers market, and we're looking at instituting that and starting it up with this coming spring season. But we did get grant funding from that through the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Okay. What were the challenges implementing shared use agreements? Did you have problems with opening school playgrounds after hours?
I'll speak to that. It was a very frank, discussion of people wanting to get to a result that we knew was best for everybody. But you do certainly have to not just pretend it's not a serious discussion. In fact, what we've done in Tupelo was we began with the idea of, can we open all of them? And after meeting with some of the principals and some of the school playgrounds, the way some of them were laid out and some of them weren't. I mean, they're not a cookie-cutter school architecture or fenced-in or not fenced-in playgrounds. We ended up with about 80% of ours opened up immediately, and we're monitoring those and seeing how those go. The idea is every 6 months or so, we'll take a look at whether or not we think we can open up 100% of them. But it makes so much sense that the taxpayers love it. I mean, to obviously go from none of these parks being open to most of them in one day. I mean, think how much money it would cost to build those parks in the neighborhood, much less acquire the land for it. So it's been a great success, but you do just have to honestly look at each school and see what it takes. At least that's been our experience.
Yeah, on joint use agreements, once you get through the turf issues, then really it's a matter of give and take. For example, if you want to open a school playground which is now closed, and you sit down and say, okay, we'll accept the liability. You pay that liability cost, and you may share some in maintenance, repair of equipment, maybe cutting the school's grass during the spring and summer. There's a way to get there, but sometimes you have to work a little harder, especially if those turf issues become a real problem.
I would just add to what Mayor Guest said originally about the food is exactly the same on that. The superintendent and I were absolutely committed to making it work out, and so the people that work with us in Parks and Recreation and with the facilities at the schools, they knew that we wanted to see it done, and that certainly made it a lot easier to get it done.
Great. In regards to the breakfast in the classroom program, who was in charge of supervising the students? As a former educator, how did you facilitate that program?
Well, originally that program began with our food service director trying to pitch the idea to principals, and at first they didn't want to take part in it, but it took the first principal to take the lead to pilot the program, and then it was just a huge success. Now, when you ask who monitors it, I guess overall, of course, the food service director, but then at each school, the cafeteria manager oversees the day-to-day operations of the program, and then we've not had negative feedback at all. Everything's been positive from the students, and the parents love it because they do not have to worry about feeding their children before they come to school. They just drop them off, and even if you're running late, that breakfast is waiting on that child when they get there. So in answering your question, I guess the big picture would be the food service director, but then on each school level, it would be the cafeteria manager.
Okay.
And also for your listening audience, there is a great website on USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture. They have a school breakfast program toolkit. If you visit www.f as in Frank, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, .usda.gov, and then you have to do a couple forward slashes, one /CND, Charlie Nancy David /breakfast, and then /expansion. That'll get you there. But if you go to our website, Healthy Communities, Healthy Future, under resources, around the goal of increasing breakfast participation and lunch participation, there are a number of resources there you can click on that was just one of them that could be useful for people that are looking to expand their breakfast program.
Great. Thanks, Leon. What were the biggest obstacles or barriers to getting your communities on board with your healthy initiatives?
Well, I'll start, and I'm sure Mayor Guest has some other good ideas. When I ran for mayor, one of my 5 visions for Tupelo was to become the healthiest city in Mississippi. Obviously, Mississippi is the bottom or next to the bottom in all of the bad categories of health, obesity, childhood obesity, etc. And our son actually acquired type 1 diabetes, which is not overweight diabetes. But anyway, my wife and I ended up in working with those families. The consequences of type 2 diabetes and type 1 are the same. And I just thought that would be something that would be important for our, it might have been low-hanging fruit to be the healthiest city in Mississippi, but we thought we'd at least go for it. So 2 weeks after I became mayor, I put an ad in the paper, and I said, if you'd like to serve on this task force, there'll only be 2 requirements. There'll be a lot of work, and it'll be unpaid. But we had over 100 people respond in a month, volunteer, just to say they were interested in it in some form or fashion. Some were exercise, some were nutrition, etc. So honestly, what I did was just unleash the passion of some wonderful citizens who really cared about this and were excited about it, whether they were runners or swimmers or whatever. And that's really how we got started. The citizens have really led our effort with the absolute coordination and cooperation of the leaders of our medical center and our school system, and then our Parks and Recreation Department.
Well, we use several different techniques. Number one, obviously, you have those people in your community that thinks when they walk to the end of the driveway in the morning to get their newspaper that that's their exercise for the day, and that's going to be all they need, and really not that interested in a comprehensive wellness program. But once we started initiating the statistics, not only our local statistics, but our statewide statistics on obesity and how it played a part in the healthy lifestyle of our community. For example, I mean, we talked to many groups about, again, type 2 diabetes that we were seeing now in 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds and affecting their health, which is almost unheard of. And once we got some of that out to the public, then people began to look around and say, hey, we're walking around with a little bit too much weight on, and we need to do some things to get it off, not only on nutrition, but also exercise. And to the medical cost of obesity is just astronomical, not only here, but nationwide.
I agree. That was my last question. If there's any other questions, you type fast. Excuse me. Leon, do you want to do a wrap-up here for us?
No, I mean, I just want to, I don't know if, before we do a wrap-up, wanted to see if either Mayor Gist or the Jackson team and Mayor Tupelo had some final thoughts and that they wanted to leave with folks listening in.
Well, as far as Jackson, Tennessee, again, this has been a work in progress for us since 2006, and we have maintained that same passion for our citizens. Again, as the mayor said, you have to have facilities. You have to provide walkability. You have to invest in your parks. You have to build walking trails in your park, and it's amazing, just amazing here in this city, just within the past 4 to 5 years, on how much our walking trails are used in our local parks. Just every day, they're well lighted. People get off from work at 5, even during December and January when it's dark. They go out and spend time in the park walking their mile or a couple mile trips. So, I think to maintain that passion that we've had, and we fully intend to do that, especially now with our wellness center downtown, our Lift Center, and the other wellness centers across our city. So we're still passionate, and we're going to remain that way.
I would just say one tip that I think you could use with your own city councils or whomever your funding organizations are. I've tried to use the economic development competition piece as a tool in my toolkit too, to tell them, look, somebody's looking between Tupelo and Jackson, for example, to locate a company, and they see Jackson doing all these wonderful quality of life issues, and Tupelo's not doing anything. Why not locate in Jackson? So I've tried to use the fact that it's if they're looking to invest some of the city's money, it's not only an advantage to those of us who are citizens here, which of course can't argue with that. You sure shouldn't. But also, as far as an economic development piece, more and more companies are looking at the quality of life in cities and determining whether to stay there or whether to locate there. And that's helped me a little bit in getting the city council to fund some of the projects that otherwise they might have thought were kind of fuzzy, feel-good opportunities. So that's just one tip I might add as far as concluding. But it is it's an ongoing project. We got a lot of things we obviously still want to do and things we want to do better. And there's a lot of room for all of us to improve. But I'm excited about it. And there is, I will say this, thanks to the National League of Cities and Robert Wood Johnson and others, this healthy competition does make it easier because you see what other cities like Jackson are doing, and it gives you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you can see some models out there. So I appreciate the National League of Cities letting Tupelo be a part of this and learn from other cities, and we certainly have benefited from it. And last thing I'd like to say is hello to an old childhood friend of mine, Jan Dale, who's listening somewhere out there in America, who said she was going to be on this call. So hello, Jan, and hope I didn't disappoint you.
Well, thank you, Mary Reed, and thank you, Mary Gist, and to all of our panel, Mary Ann, Anna, Annette, and Sandy for your remarks today, and also want to thank our co-host Michelle Smith and the Southern Obesity Prevention Strategy. We encourage everyone that's listening in, elected official or not. We are excited that we had two phenomenal cities and schools to really talk about how they're working together, and we hope it leaves people feeling very encouraged that cities and schools can work together to really create healthy communities, because that's, at the end of the day, it's the healthy future that we're promoting. And so we encourage you to visit our website, Healthy Communities, healthyfuture.org, learn more about how to engage, get your city, if they haven't signed up, to sign up for Let's Move Cities, Towns, and Counties. Feel free to reach out to us directly if we can be helpful. And again, thank you for listening, and I'll turn it over to Michelle to have the final remarks. Michelle.
Thank you, Leon, for your wonderful job facilitating as usual. And I'll leave with one note. I had someone that had to jump off early, and we were very sad, but said that they were very hopeful about getting this going in Charlottesville, Virginia, and that what she had heard on her time on the call was so inspirational. So she thanks both mayors for sharing their time and their talents with us. It is inspiring to see such good work going on across, and we hope that we can encourage other cities, counties, and towns to replicate what you're doing, and we appreciate you sharing with us. This concludes this webinar. Watch for emails and Twitters or tweets, Facebook for upcoming events that we'll be having around different aspects of obesity, physical activity, nutrition, worksite wellness. So we will be having webinars and different events between now and our next summit in November in Nashville. So we will be coming to Tennessee. And we appreciate everyone signing on with us today and hope that you can go back to your community and make use of some of the things that you learned. Thank you so much.